North American P-51C. It was actually built from a World War II P-51C that never saw action. It never left the United States. It was involved in a landing accident in Palm Springs on delivery and was abandoned there and recovered by the salvage company and sold immediately to Joe DeBona and Jimmy Stewart. And they got the airplane from Palm Springs and turned it into this airplane. They built it for the 1948 Bendix Air Race, and it was built to go from Rosamond Dry Lake Bed to Cleveland for the Bendix Air Race, and Rosamond Dry Lake is now Edwards Air Force Base. So Joe DeBona was a veteran of World War II, a pilot who ferried airplanes in the South Pacific. Unfortunately, in 1948, he was leading the race in this airplane and ran short of fuel just short of Cleveland and had to land and didn't finish the race. So you can imagine in 1949, when they repainted the airplane, that he was really concentrating on, I gotta finish this race, I gotta win it. So he did win it. He set a record. It was the last piston-powered airplane to win a Bendix race, and it still holds the record for that race for piston-powered airplanes, 470 plus miles an hour. The next phase of its life, it was sold to Jacqueline Cochran. And Jacqueline Cochran set 3 records in it that still stand, and then she sold it back to Jimmy Stewart. It flew for CBS, and it hauled the Queen Elizabeth coronation films on the day she was coronated from Goose Bay to Boston for CBS so that it could be broadcast the same day, which is a historic day in broadcasting because it was the first time that something happened in Europe and was broadcast the same day in the United States. So the airplane has a lot of history. It's sitting here today in vintage because it's a vintage racer. It's not really a warbird. Jerry Beck from Tri-State Aviation was building P-51As, and we were looking for P-51A paperwork. We stopped here with a TBM and a Corsair on our way to Cleveland for an air show, and we had lunch with Gene Chase. And Gene Chase told us a story about a P-51A that had crashed in Scottsbluff, Nebraska. We found out that it was not a P-51A, it was actually a P-51C, and it was this airplane. Then we started doing research on the airplane, and I found out it was actually Jimmy Stewart's airplane. So in 1999, this project started with a collection of pieces and parts and paperwork and history, and I've just been building on that ever since. So it's to have it here and debut at Oshkosh at EAA AirVenture is phenomenal. It's really good to have it here, and I am super happy with how the airplane turned out. The airplane was constructed from blueprints and by Tri-State Aviation and Odegaard Wings, and then it was finished by Air Corps Aviation, and there's just a whole lot of part supply still for those airplanes, plus the capabilities of those shops to manufacture structure. There isn't, a lot of the old Mustangs aren't original either, but everything is kind of based on repairs. You know, so this airplane was repaired, restored from its original condition. It doesn't have any guns, any gun ejection chutes. It doesn't have any barrels. The leading edges are slick and clean. It doesn't have the weight of the radios and all the things that are in there. And consequently, it's about 10% lighter than another Mustang. And so yes, it performs phenomenally. It gets in the air extremely quick. It climbs really good, and it's pretty fast. There's so many people that have followed this airplane through the years that remember it. You know, they're elderly people now, but they remember it from when it was racing, and they're really happy to see it back. And I'm really happy to be able to represent this airplane's history, and don't claim to be Jimmy Stewart or Joe DeBona, but I'm really proud that I can talk about them and show this airplane and have people remember who they were. I've been operating a fleet of warbirds for some people for a long time. And I've had a chance to fly a lot of different Mustangs, Lopes, Hope, Miss Kitties. And the other day I was working on this, I was thinking to myself, I need to be careful because this is Bruce's airplane. And then I went, wow, this is mine. And I was like, this is really cool. It keeps coming back to me that I finally got a Mustang. I finally got there.